It's shameful to be classmates with such incompetent poor people.
At the high school reunion, Emilia relentlessly mocked me. However, when my wife saw the scene, she said something unexpected.
Honey, let's move our savings.
Go ahead, do it if you can.
Emilia kept mocking us until the end, but the next day, everything changed. My name is Dylan. I'm a 34-year-old and working adult. I've always loved reading since I was young, which probably helped me excel in my studies. Before even starting elementary school, I could already do basic math, and I never struggled with academics. However, I was not good at communicating with people, and didn't make many close friends. In fact, I was so nervous about talking to others that I always sat quietly in the classroom.
Dylan is always alone, isn't he?
He doesn't even respond when you talk to him. What a boring guy.
I often overheard such rumors, which made me even less capable of talking. Eventually, I was nicknamed Statue or Robot for not talking and was ridiculed. Moreover, I was bad at sports, so during gym class, nobody wanted me on their team.
He always studying and can't play sports.
It's so lame. We'll definitely lose if Dylan joins our team, so make sure he's not on our team.
During sports festivals and competitions, I was disliked by my classmates, and I was never included in any team. The last team I was forced onto, every member grimaced, certain of defeat, glaring at me. To escape their disliking gazes, I immersed myself even more in studying. Although communication with friends ceased, I kept telling myself that being alone was fine. Thus, I lived through elementary school, and it was the same in middle and high school. In high school, the number of students increased, but my classmates in the same elementary school kept saying things about me.
Dylan ignores us because he's good at studying. He doesn't talk and is unfriendly. He's the worst.
Because of that, I didn't make a single friend. Among them, the girl who hated me was Emilia.
Don't act tall, high, and mighty, just you're good at your studies. You should learn from someone like me, who everyone likes.
Emilia was smart like me, but unlike me, she had a bright personality, which attracted a lot of followers around her. However, Emilia had a harsh personality and would relentlessly attack those she didn't like. Thus, the classmates under the influential Emilia were submissive to her. Also, Emilia's father was apparently an elite banker locally, a young branch manager. Because of this, many students, along with their families, were completely subservient to Emilia. Having caught the attention of such a formidable person, I had accepted the life of being disliked by my classmates. Already accustomed to loneliness throughout my school years, I resigned myself to the situation without fuss. Despite Emilia's constant provocations, I wanted to keep my distance, but unluckily, our seats were close, and I inevitably had to interact with her. After that, she still harassed me, but I went to school nonchalantly without dealing with her. Having endured the abuse until graduation, I chose a university in the neighboring city instead of my hometown. It took about an hour by train, but thinking I could finally cut ties with my local classmates felt like heaven. Moreover, the university I chose was prestigious, and I was excited to further hone my studies in the new life that awaited me. On the day of my high school graduation, Emilia called me over.
Why didn't you go to a local university?
Emilia crossed her arms and looked down at me with a sneer. But, having learned that anything I said would only be mocked by Emilia, I remained silent, just waiting for the time to pass. Then, Emilia scoffed through her nose and said,
You just didn't want people to find out how useless you are, that you can't even chat with classmates, right?
I didn't feel like saying anything and kept silent. Emilia, getting carried away, pressed on further.
Or did you not get into any local universities? A silent robot like you would fail the interviews?
Yo, that's right. I'm not going to university. I'll start working after graduation, so leave me alone. Annoyed by Emilia's laughter, I blurted out a lie. Then Emilia burst out laughing loudly as if she heard a funny joke.
Listen, everyone, Dylan's not going to university and will work right after high school.
As she announced this loudly across the class, Emilia and her followers began laughing at me. While this would have upset me in the past, I was about to graduate from high school. Emilia remained unpleasant till the end, but thinking I was finally free from her harassment made me feel relieved as I confidently walked away from high school. The university I attended was different from high school. All the classmates were earnestly engaged in their studies. No one mocked me for just studying and not being athletic, or for not talking much. Instead, I was surprised that people actively approached me.
How did you solve this problem, Dylan?
Are you asking me?
Yeah. Can you show me how?
Having never been approached before, I was initially confused when someone first spoke to me. But as I interacted with these serious and kind students, I gradually opened up. As I began to enjoy my university life, an important encounter came my way. This person approached me after school while I was studying in the classroom. A classmate named Emily.
Dylan, you're always studying here, aren't you? I'd really like you to teach me.
Emily is as cute as a small animal when she asks me with slightly red cheeks. Apparently, her grades had dropped since entering university, and she was struggling to see results. She was desperate to at least score average on the next midterm exam. I was impressed by her dedication, and more than anything, I was pleased to be relied upon for the first time. If that's the case, I'll help you.
Thank you. Can we start today?
And from that day, Emily and I started our study sessions. As it turned out, Emily wasn't dumb at all. Her previous study methods just hadn't suited her. When I explained things in a way that was easy to understand, Emily absorbed the knowledge like a sponge soaking up water. We studied like this, and especially on days we focused intensely. We would stay late at school, and it would be completely dark by the time we left. So, I walked her home.
Thanks for walking me home, Dylan. See you tomorrow.
Yeah, see you.
Be careful on your way home, Dylan.
As she left, showing concern for me, I was touched by her kindness. As we continued studying together and grew closer, I eventually developed more than friendly feelings for Emily. I thought about confessing my feelings, but since Emily had approached me wanting to improve her grades, I didn't want to distract her from her studies. So, I planned to confess if Emily achieved her goal grades, and I waited for that day. On the day the test results were returned, as class ended, she ran up to me, bouncing with joy.
It's all thanks to you, Dylan. Thank you so much.
Her test scores were well above average, and she was in the top 10 in her class.
If I hadn't gotten an average score this time, my parents told me I'd have to get a job. But thanks to you, Dylan, I can keep attending this university.
You did well, Emily. I had no idea Emily was on the verge of leaving school, but I was truly glad she could avoid dropping out. Feeling the moment was right, I gathered my courage and confessed to Emily. Emily, would you like to continue studying together? And not just studying, but would you share your life with me? Carried away, I ended up proposing instead of just confessing. As I nervously awaited her answer, Emily smiled at me gently as if a flower had bloomed.
I would be happy to. If you'll have me, let's walk through life together, Dylan.
In my happiness, I found myself striking the first victory pose of my life. After that, Emily and I continued to date peacefully, holding study sessions, and enjoying a fulfilling university life. On graduation day, unlike high school, it was hard to say goodbye to my classmates, and I was moved to tears. Just as I was thinking I could finally feel as happy as anyone else, Emily took my hand.
Dylan, you were moved to tears, weren't you?
Well, actually, I explained everything to Emily. When she heard about my loneliness and bullying from elementary through high school, Emily squeezed my hand gently.
Dylan, you've been through a lot. Let's make happy memories together from now on.
With that, Emily gave me that blooming smile again. Later, Emily and I supported each other through job hunting. After graduating, we got jobs in different places, but our feelings remained unchanged, and we married a few years later. We often visited each other's parents' homes. My parents had completely taken to Emily, and now they would have meals together without me, such was their bond. One day, Emily and I returned to my parents' house. My parents told me that a letter had arrived from one of my classmates, so I decided to check the contents. But seeing the sender, I tasted a bitter feeling. What? A high school reunion? If it had been a university reunion, I would have attended without hesitation, but I didn't feel like meeting my high school classmates. However, when I mentioned possibly not attending, Emily surprisingly said,
Why not go? Everyone's probably grown up now, and they must have a reason for inviting you. Also, with how you are now, I'm sure you can handle it.
Really? Well, if you say so, I'll give it a try. Encouraged by Emily's smile, I signed the RSVP card attending and dropped it in the mailbox.
Take care, Dylan.
Then, see you. On the day of the reunion, Emily and I were staying at my parents' house. My parents were thrilled to have Emily around because she brightened up the place.
I'll come pick you up when it's over.
No, that's okay. Just relax at home.
No, I have some shopping to do anyway, so I can pick you up on my way back.
After a moment's hesitation, I nodded in agreement. Considering everyone would likely be drinking at the reunion, taking the train might be a hassle. With that, I asked Emily to pick me up and headed off to the reunion.
Is that you, Dylan? Long time no see.
A few minutes after I arrived at the reunion venue, my classmates started greeting me. Everyone was mature, but I remember the old days, and my stomach was hurting.
I'm glad you came, Dylan. I've been wanting to talk to you for so long.
However, being warmly welcomed, I was surprised. Back then, they used to call me statue or robot and tease me, but today everyone seemed genuinely happy to see me.
But first, I need to apologize. Sorry, I didn't understand you back then and made you feel awful.
No, it's fine. It's all in the past. I don't hold a grudge. The honest apology surprised me, but I forgave him. My classmates had grown up and realized that there were others like me who were introverted. We all got along in a harmonious atmosphere, reconciling and sharing updates about our lives. However, compared with these classmates, people still hadn't changed at all.
Oh, isn't it Dylan? Long time no see.
Emilia and her entourage appeared late at the venue. Upon seeing me, she deliberately spoke up.
Since you've probably had a drink and it's hot, why not cool off outside? I have something I want to talk to you about as well.
The thought of talking with Emilia and her group gave me a bad feeling, but I was no longer the old me. Okay, but make it quick. With that, I stepped outside with Emilia and her group.
You showed up at the reunion, even though you're a high school graduate. I only admire your courage.
As soon as we got out, Emilia began provoking me blatantly. Seeing her followers agreeing and laughing, it was clear Emilia was still dominating everyone as usual.
You might not understand this, Dylan, since you live at the bottom, but I live a first-class life. My dad has become the head of the bank.
Emilia was still using her father's job to feel superior. It was clear she hadn't grown up at all, and I sighed inwardly at her attitude. I just nodded along when Emilia, unable to hold back, burst out laughing.
You really don't get how amazing I am. Well, you can understand what I'm saying. It's a shame to be classmates with such an incompetent poor person.
After saying that, Emilia and her group started laughing loudly. Tired of being made fun of, I reluctantly spoke up. Are you done? It's about time I head home.
Wait, we've just reunited after so long. Let me show you what high-class living is like since you're usually not around it. Maybe I should tell you about the glorious promotion when my dad became the head of the bank.
Emilia puffed up with pride, but I checked the time, and it was almost when Emily said she would come to pick me up. As I tried to leave, Emilia kept grumbling and followed me, and I was just about getting annoyed. But then,
Over here, Dylan.
with a small honk, a gentle voice called out. Turning around, I saw a familiar car parked nearby. Seeing Emily slowly get out of the driver's seat, I couldn't help but smile naturally. Thanks for picking me up. Did you find good stuff?
Yes, look, this is for your parents.
They'll love it, thanks. As Emily and I talked amicably, a stunned voice came from the side.
What? Dylan, you're married?
Emilia, having observed our interaction, stared at me in shock. It wasn't something I needed to hide. I calmly opened my mouth to speak. Yeah, thanks to her, I live a wonderful life with my lovely wife. Emilia, you're the daughter of a bank president, so of course you're already married, right? Emilia seemed to think I was mocking her, and she turned red and began to get angry.
I am not yet. Unlike you. I wouldn't marry just anyone. There aren't many men worthy of a bank president's daughter like me.
Oh, your father is a bank president. That's impressive. Then you might know my husband, too. He's the head of Nelson Hospital.
When Emily mentioned the name of the hospital group, Emilia momentarily caught her breath and was at a loss for words. The hospital was part of a major group with several facilities throughout the region. In fact, Emily was the only daughter of the hospital director, and both of us had pursued medical degrees and become doctors. A few years after getting married, when Emily's father fell ill, I took over as the director, managing the hospital group. Unexpectedly, Emily revealed my true position, and I was taken aback by this unexpected turn of events. You didn't have to mention my job.
But if her father is the bank president, I thought it proper to introduce myself since I'm also a director at a hospital in the same network, and we might owe each other favors.
Emily revealing her profession as well made me a bit uneasy. Emilia, the braggart, was frozen with shock. Her entourages were also confused.
So what? You're a doctor, but probably just some no-name quack who never sees patients. Don't go bragging just because you're Dylan.
Emilia lashed out at my wife Emily, despite meeting her for the first time, with harsh words. Emily, surprised by Emilia's reaction, just stared back at her, but then she said something even more unexpected.
Your father is the president of Citibank, correct?
The bank Emily mentioned was indeed where Emilia's father worked.
What about it?
Emilia responded gruffly. Then Emily turned to me and said simply,
Let's move our savings.
What? I couldn't help my dumbfounded response. What's going on all of a sudden?
Since this person has chosen to belittle us both in front of everyone, she must be quite prepared for the consequences, given our respective ages and statuses, right?
Though Emily spoke politely, her eyes were clearly burning with anger.
I'd rather not deal directly with her anymore. We have $150 million in savings. Let's move it from the bank that holds such disdain for us to another one. That should make her realize the gravity of her actions.
I suppose we could do that. I was hesitant and couldn't immediately respond. Then, Emilia started mocking us with a sneer.
I've been listening, and your jokes are quite poor. $150 million in Dylan's account. Such a lie isn't even funny. You'll regret lying as a couple.
It seems that Emilia doesn't believe that I am a doctor or that we have $150 million in savings. Watching her look down on us made up my mind. Guess we'll see who regrets it.
What an arrogant thing to say. It's just a silly joke.
No, what my wife said isn't a joke. I confronted Emilia with a steady gaze. See what happens tomorrow.
Whatever, that's ridiculous. Go ahead, do it if you can.
Turning our backs on Emilia, who continued to ridicule us, Emily and I left in the car she was driving. Emilia mocked us for my lies to the end, but things changed the next day. The next day, Emily and I were at the bank near our parents' home. After some time there, Emilia appeared in front of us. Emilia must have rushed over, breathing heavily with her shoulders heaving, and as soon as she saw Emily and me, her face turned pale, and she began to tremble. The fierce rebuke that came was from Emilia's father, the bank president, who had called her in.
What have you done to upset our top client? I can't believe it.